Hmm. When Jeremy gives you the videos to play, and then you just have a few too many issues trying to get him to actually play, and then you realize you're live, and you're like, "What the heck? I think I'm just going to start the show right now." So we're just going to go old school right now. I am Watts UK99, as you all may know or may not know, but anyway, Jeremy and I are always doing the shows on Wednesday night at 10 o'clock. Jeremy is going to be around tonight, but I do have a very special guest I know he's excited to be here. He's got a lot on his mind, and we're going to entertain you for the next little while. So I want to bring on a fellow Jersey boy just like myself, the one and only Nick Shine. Nick, how you doing tonight, my friend?
What's up, buddy? How are you? Good to be back.
I'm doing all right. It feels like we've been kind of like in a holding pattern for a while where time passes, but not a whole lot of things seem to happen. And we're just waiting for a certain thing to happen. We are living in the era of speculation and just all these random experts. I didn't know we had so many football experts out there, but they're just everywhere. I mean, people I've never heard of. I mean, you've got the senior writer from Yahoo talking about, what the real holdup between the Jets and Packers. You've got his intern writing articles. I mean, everybody's got an opinion right now on what the deal is with Rodgers, with the Jets, with the Packers, who's holding it up, what's holding it up. At some point, though, the speculation will come to an end. So I guess the first thing I would ask that I want to talk about is, do you think this is actually going to come to an end before the draft, during the draft, or after the draft? What do you think?
I think it's during. The thing that, Gunny, New York Jets situation report sent out about there being 2 trades they've agreed to. Both teams seem content. Like Joe Douglas's past weekend saying he's going to be here. It's just a matter of what package they like better.
That's what she said.
Thank you. But it's a matter of which package they like, or a matter of which players are on the board. Maybe they got 2 players that they really like. Green Bay they're at 15, right? They're 2 behind us.
2 behind us. Yep.
Okay. And if both of those players are there, maybe they take the different package. No need to trade up to 13 to 15. Maybe they go an alternate route. So we'll see. Hey, everyone in the chat, what's up, guys?
Yep.
Good to be back. Good to see you guys. But yeah, I really believe that this will dominate night 1 of the draft. And if it doesn't happen in night 1, later when the draft concludes on night 1 during the afternoon before day 2 starts, you're gonna have the official announcement.
It's pretty interesting because I would think if it's not done, I would say by the Friday, then it's not going to happen, I think, for a while. I think if it doesn't happen by the second round of this draft, it may take another month or 2, because then there's really no incentive for Green Bay to rush the deal. Because if I'm Green Bay, I'm expecting those draft picks to be a whole lot better now than they're going to be down the road next year, because I'd be expecting the Jets to be picking rather late in the draft. That's what we should expect.
In the 30s?
That's a good number.
Round 1 in the 30s?
That's a very good number, but why shouldn't we have high expectations? Because everybody else around us will, just because we're afraid of being disappointed. But, if for these players, if their expectations aren't high, they're never going to get to where they want to go. Rex said it way back when, many, many years ago, and the words still ring true. So let's quickly say hello to a few people in the chat. We've got, let's see, I see Harlan Abraham, always here, one of the absolute loyalists. Harlan, good to see you. We've got William Powers. We've got John Nolte. Good to see you. Jets Mess coming over from Green Bean. Ken Freeman, hello to you as well. I see Payo Time, a big-time Rams fan. All right. Payo Time. Do you have any first-round picks this decade? Are there any still hanging on? Or oh, my gosh. You guys traded away.
We have to break it down. I think last year I met Payo right around this time on Jeremy's channel. And he was on the show one day, and I was like, Payo, first-round draft picks are what teams normally – like I broke it down in like layman's terms, because there's no reason for him to even care about Thursday night of the draft for several years.
The way that the Rams trade away first round picks, they may as well be in the NBA. They've traded like 4 first round picks, maybe a couple of pick swaps, stuff like that.
Yeah,
If there was an NBA team in the NFL, it would be the Rams. That
yeah,
is kind of how I'm thinking of them at this point.
they're like
Uh,
the Nets.
good.
I don't remember the last time the Nets picked early.
Well, you got a
As
few
soon as
back.
they did, they
Yeah.
sent everyone away and started loading up with the vets.
And the funny thing is now some of those guys are going to be facing the Knicks in the playoff series this coming weekend. Karis LeVert, Jared Allen, they're on the Cavs now. So it's going to
I'm
be a
a
little
big
bit of a
fan of
reunion.
those guys.
Yeah.
I hated seeing those guys go in the Harden deal. Dinwiddie, who we got back, which is crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I was very upset when that happened because I thought we were better long term with LeVert, Allen, and Dinwiddie.
Yeah, LeVert, Allen Dinwiddie, and that guy Karooks. I'm sure you were heartbroken to see him go too. He was like the 10th guy on the bench, but anyway.
He had one awesome dunk that me and the kids went nuts over, and like the next day he was like shipped off. They're like, "All right, we're gonna sell this one high."
All
It's like
right,
when Ty Johnson catches a pass, you're like, "Sell off now. He'll never get
yes,
more than this."
that's a
That's
that is a fine analogy. Aaron
Thank you.
Mabin's 1 sack a year. There you go.
I know you missed my analogies, buddy.
Oh, didn't we all 15 of us here in the chat. Randy 23, good to see you too. Yeah, Nathan Colgrove. Hey, I haven't seen Nathan as much lately. Good to see him. Jennifer Slattery. Whoa, no
Superstar
Jeremy.
Jennifer Slattery, superstar Jennifer Slattery, as we
That
refer to her in my house.
that she is. The idea is to have more eye candy on the screen, taking up more of it. I'm sure you would appreciate it.
I thought that's why I was here.
That's not what she said.
Yeah, these baby blues, man, these just aren't for show. These are for show.
I got one of those new cell phones. I actually upgraded my phone on Saturday. You know how old my phone was? It was not quite raised the antenna level, but it felt like that. I was on a
Zach
Samsung.
Morris. You had the Zach Morris phone.
You hit somebody hard enough with him, you put him in the hospital for 3 weeks.
Nice.
But
This phone had no damage.
oh my gosh! So we have so it was the Samsung Galaxy S9, and now they're up to a 23. So I don't know how often they come out with the new Galaxy, but it was they've come out with 14 new ones since then. So now I've got the A14. I know, man, I was so far
Well,
behind.
don't they just go by odd numbers?
I don't think so. Well, you got the S line and you got the A line. I found out. So the S line's the more upper echelon. The A is the more mid model.
Okay.
I don't know why, but that's all the stuff from people who make way more money than I ever will. But I got the new A phone and it's got like almost twice the battery power, but a really good camera. The camera is quite nice. So zoom in on the light, you could see if I actually have brown eyes or hazel eyes, because depending on the light, you get a different result.
In
The most absolutely in the topic nobody
phone?
needed to know about.
You're using the phone to broadcast?
No, but I could, and I could tell you the camera would be like really good quality. I wouldn't do all this. Put it this way: if it was just me, if Jeremy was running it, and then I'm just on as a guest, yeah, I would do the phone. But yeah, with all the stuff that I'm trying to do here, yeah, that ain't happening on the phone. I'd be going nuts right now.
Okay.
So
I don't have controls.
Yeah.
He gave me approval for the YouTube page in the comment section, but not on here, or else I could help you out.
Yeah.
But we'll get through it.
Pay time. The draft starts on Friday, right? Yeah, that's on Pacific time. It's actually Wednesday for you.
There will be a military draft before the Rams pick in the first round of the draft.
Oh boy. Yeah. Actually, somebody where Jeremy is, it's almost like trying to find Frankie. It's now trying to find Jeremy. Saw him for a second. Not sure exactly what he's up to tonight, but he is busy. So he sent in the pinch hitters. It's only 19-27 hours in Sacramento.
Hey, who knows, man? We could end up being Kirk Gibson type of pinch hitter, right? I can barely walk with the knee, so it's perfect.
And I am the Italian. I'm sort of like a better looking Tommy Lasorda. I definitely weigh a lot less.
You're like a Tim Tuffle.
Tim Tuffle. That's an
There you
interesting
go.
one. That was actually really cool. So when I was and we'll get to the Jets in a second. I'll tell you this one story. The 2015 NLCS, I was living in Chicago at the time, and that was the Mets-Cubs NLCS, which was huge for me. I mean, living in Chicago for 20 years, I have seen so many losses in Wrigley Field. It is like my haunting ground. And to be at game 4, I was at the game when the Mets actually won the pennant.
Oh yeah.
And oh yeah, I was there. And I actually got it for like $110, which was just ridiculous that I
Oh,
got into that game for that little money. It was nuts.
oh, it was a
Yeah,
sweep.
it was a sweep.
Oh, so
Yep.
they gave up hope. They were just
They
trying to
gave
get some
up.
sort of money back.
Yeah, the Billy Goat was reigning supreme at the time, and first inning they're already up like 4-0. They all knew it was over. They never had a chance. So we're waiting outside. A couple of us are waiting outside the players' entrance, which is like that wide. With Wrigley Field, let's say it's a little bit antiquated. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
The area around it is great. But Tim Tuffle, I remember two things. I remember Travis d'Arnaud, and this is when I became a d'Arnaud fan. He came out and gave us a big F yeah and gave us all high fives. Right there, I decided I was going to be a d'Arnaud fan through all the injuries, all the criticism from Mets fans. I was always going to defend d'Arnaud. But then Tim Tuffle comes down. And we can tell he sort of has like that little bit of long hair. He's got a little bit of 80s hair still hanging on there, right? He says, guys, my daughter just gave birth. I'm a grandfather as of 2 days ago, and we won the pennant. This is the coolest week ever.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, he like wanted to like talk to us. He wanted he just wanted to take it all in with the fans. So Tim Tuffle was really a man of the people. So, yeah, I definitely like that guy. Peo Time's got a question for us. And guys, if you have any questions or anything you'd like us to talk about, throw it in the comments. This is your show just as much as it is ours. Do you have a percentage guess of Zach Wilson being traded during the draft? I think there was a 17%. That is a rather specific number, Peo.
Yeah.
I would say 17 is about right, but put a decimal point in the middle of the 1 and the 7. Because why would you trade Zach Wilson now when he has literally no trade value? The only value he might have, in all fairness, is the fact that he's young. He's not even that controllable anymore because the money's starting to go up. I mean, he's making around $10 million.
Yeah.
And, then you got to decide on the option. I mean, even if the Jets were to trade Zach Wilson, what are they getting back right now? I don't think anything more than fits. It wouldn't be
mind, right? It's not that he's an awful locker room guy or like the word cancer gets thrown around. I just think he doesn't fit there anymore. I just think it's better for the team. I think it's better for Zach. I think it's better for the Jets. I know it's definitely better for us as fans with the media that we have and the stories they want to fixate on. I just think it's the right move. And, we moved on from Darnold and we didn't have an answer. And right now we have an answer. I think, a lot of people always fixate on the GM said this, the coach said this. You got to remember, you say it's your guy until it's not, right? Like if you're in a relationship and you're feeling like it's going to end, you don't like tell her, hey, I'm going to break up with you next week. Like you wait until you're going to do it and then you do it. You make it official. Like you're with Zach, you're going to say he's our guy. He's a long-term plan because you also don't want to bomb him in the media and kill his value of what might be left of it. So I think it's a post June 1st. I think it's maybe a pre-training camp thing. I think they're going to – I'm surprised. I want to see if Zach shows up. Like you show up to the offseason program or do you say I want out?
I wonder if somebody were to get injured in training camp, if in a pinch they would maybe trade for Wilson. I think that's about the only type of scenario I could think of because what quarterbacks are currently out there on the market that are worth signing?
None. I mean Tim Boyle was the last big name out there, and he's been scooped up.
All $1 million worth of them. Absolutely. I'll be ordering my Boyle jersey a little bit later on tonight, as a matter of fact. I actually saw, by the grace of God, if anybody wants to order a jersey, they actually got they got a couple black jerseys back on. Like before you could only get a Zach Wilson jersey in black, but now they got some more jerseys up on the website and some of them are being discounted right now. So before midnight hits, you might want to check out the Jets site if you want to grab a jersey.
We got the Jets giving us plugs now. Look how
I did. You get like a Quinn. I was going to order like a black Quinn Williams jersey. It was being like $100. I'm like, really? That's pretty good for the non-Chinese ones, Yeah, we all know where DHgate gets their jerseys.
Yeah, it's Williams with like one L.
Williams with one L. Yeah, well. Or that 9 is upside down. It's a 65. Raw Power. What does everyone do for draft night? Goating Mexican spread with barria tacos. Well, Raw, you are the goat, so I think that's only appropriate. You would go with those types of tacos. See what I did there?
Yeah, I do.
Thank you. Have you ever had goat tacos?
I'm not a big taco guy.
Okay.
I've never had goat. If I have, I don't know it.
I actually did have some over by Midway Airport in Chicago. Found like this little Mexican neighborhood, and they were served these the barria, and just served in corn tortillas. They just brought a little bit more out. It's like 1 round of tacos, 2 rounds of tacos. So they kind of charge by the serving of them, and they bring in like a four different containers, like lime and onion and cilantro, and yeah, it was like a more tender beef. Is what it was. It was satisfying, but it wasn't like heavy like beef was. It was, if you get it right, it's actually quite good. I'll be hanging with the Virginia Jets fans at AJ Gators in Norfolk for night 1. Day 2, I may be able to appear. I'll be in the back with the 24/7 group. I'll be hanging with Ryan, Matt, and Green Bean, helping out a little bit over there. And this will get your attention. On Saturday, day 3, our group is having our chili cook-off.
Oh, nice.
So we're going to be meeting at one of the houses of the members who lives on the nicer side of town, shall we say. And we'll all be bringing our crock pots, and we'll be watching day 3 of the draft together. So
nice. That's awesome. That's cool. You guys do that.
Yeah. So are you do you have any draft plans yet, or is it kind of to be determined at this point?
I'm up in the air. I'm probably gonna just be here watching it. I'm not in go out mode right now. I'm just I'll have the laptop open. I'll have a couple browsers open. I'll crop it so I could see the ESPN broadcast, the NFL Network broadcast, and then throw it to the TV. And then I'll have Bleacher Report up in my hand. A few years ago, the Becton Mims draft, the Bleacher Report app was announcing the picks in the app before the bell was even going off.
Don't you hate that?
Yeah, I'm a nerd for that stuff. So, I'm even when it's not the Jets, like I just enjoy the whole process of the draft. And, this year I've been a little bit out of it with where I usually am. Like, so it's but I still have that like Christmas morning as a kid, like feeling in me, like, oh, the draft is coming. The draft is coming. Like, I'm excited. Yeah, Harlan. Hey guys. Hey, I know we got hit fast and furious.
We did.
So,
we were at 6. We were at 69 for a couple of minutes there. We were getting 69 by the chat. By the chat. Yeah, chat was doing it to us. Oh my God. NY Jets 4, one of the best. NY Jets fan 4. He's become quite the regular. Does a fantastic job. E Boogie on down. E Boogie 156. We've got 808 Jet fan. Is everybody going by the area codes or something? Like, how's this all work? Hey, G.
Who do they think they are? Rey Mysterio?
Oh my gosh. Yep. Hey, Green Bean, I see you here. Thanks so much for bringing everybody over here. We got Patty Grimes. Patty Grimes, good to be here. Good to see you here. NYJ today, 8 days and counting. I told the draft.
15. It's 2 weeks, not next week.
That's the draft 2 weeks. Yeah, it's 2 weeks away. Yeah, it's 2 weeks away. But
I love your enthusiasm, but it's not next Thursday. It's the one after.
Yeah. Eric Craig, what's up? Good. Hey, good to see you here. Welcome aboard. Hey. Matthias Simon. Hey, guy.
What's up?
One of the OGs. Absolutely one of the OGs. Mark from Asbury Park. I know a huge Devils fan. Hey, it might be Rangers Devils first round. It could very well happen. We appreciate you coming over for sure. Yeah, let's keep going. Patrick Sullivan bringing the fire. 10 star. Hey guys. She does that. Balls be hurting. One of the best. This guy, I don't know who he is. I've never seen him before in my life.
He's new to the internet. Give him time.
He's new to the internet. Okay,
well, he might catch on. Give him a little bit.
Green Bean, if you ever need any advice on this YouTube stuff, Nick and I are here to help you out. We like bringing the new guys along. Show Douglas, we know who that is. He has no name, if you know what I'm saying. But those of us who know, we know who that is. It is good to see you here too. Slaps. Slim God, Green and White Militia.
So let me throw a
Go ahead.
question out at you while you're going through all that,
Let's
or
do
I'll
it.
start off. Is Joe Douglas just gonna get a statue outside of Florham Park if he pulls off Hopkins and Rodgers? Like it, if you pull off Hopkins and Rodgers with the line, with the run game, with the defense, oh, holy moly!
I
Hey,
think
wait,
a
wait,
lot of
wait. This
yeah.
comment here. Hold on. Let me address this comment. It's your channel. Bylaws state we have to discuss food before football. It's alphabetical. Food comes before football. We're just doing what you would do, buddy.
And on a side note, Jeremy posts food videos. Check them out. Are you
Yes.
happy now?
There you go. A little side plug for him.
I figured you'd be happy at that point. By the way, the Farah pizza this past weekend in North Carolina was on point.
Nice.
Good pizza.
So,
Uh,
yeah, what
I
do you
was
think, man? Do you think this is possible? He pulls them both?
It's been a very weird off season. I've seen a lot of criticism for Joe Douglas from alleged experts, even those on sports radio who should know about football. But some of these guys, they have certain loyalties towards another team in New York. They might work the midday shift, and they are just looking to take shots at the Jets because they want to keep the Jets at little brother status. Talking about how Douglas is not closing the deal. There's a lot of free agents. Now, there's no doubt. There's a lot of free agents who very well could have been New York Jets. A lot of guys have talked about him. We could go through a number of names. Campbell, Cox. There's, I think, one or two others. I think one of the safeties also. But we just didn't have the money to work with that we had in years past. And you know what? Unless you are one of the absolute elite top 5 teams, people are going to take the money. That's just business.
Yeah. Like I'm very surprised about where Campbell chose, right? Like at his stage of his career, I thought, but I mean, I'll be honest, I think the NFC is trash. When you look past the Niners, I think it's up for grabs for the number 2 team, and that includes the NFC East, because the NFC East is coming back to reality this year that they have to play the AFC East, and you'll see the difference between the two divisions when you don't have the easiest schedule in the NFL and you have to actually play competitive teams like our division. But I mean, Atlanta, I can't. I know they can go. Yeah. They can compete for the division if Ritter is decent, right? They put in a lot of pieces on that defense with Bates and others. They just traded for Okuda. Maybe they think can revive him. But I'm shocked that Campbell chose there. Like Cox staying in Philly, I get that. Nobody can be mad about the guy staying where he's been. You know what I mean? It's the negative Jet fan who wants the Madden mode and wants every player signed with no salary cap and no repercussions. It's not like that in the real world. We had that with McCagnon. We had that with Tannenbaum. We had that with Idzik. We had guys giving out money and not drafting well. If you don't draft well, it doesn't make sense to bring in the big name players, because then you're giving out a Le'Veon Bell deal and it's nothing. You're bringing in all these crazy guys and you don't get anywhere with it. You got to hit with the draft. So as much as fans want those big names, you can't have 6-7 big names every offseason, because then you go back into the old Jet mode of having to cut everybody 2-3 years later, and you didn't draft anyone. So it's
you build your team.
The definition of his insanity is repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and that's what a lot of Jets fans do. McCagnon was awful. Well, why aren't we signing anybody? Because we're going to draft and build the team that way. And then when the moment is right and we built a core, then we're going to strike. Then we're going to get the big names. Aaron Rodgers, is there a bigger name in the sport now that Brady is gone? Probably not, right? I mean, Mahomes is up there.
That's it.
I mean, you're talking, you're at the end, but the guy could still play. I mean, his game changed last year once Christian Watson finally developed into an NFL wide receiver and got healthy. They got rid of Devontae Adams. Cobb is a shell of what he used to be. They had the other kid, Dobbs, the receiver.
Romeo Dobbs, yeah.
He was in and out a little bit with injury. Bakhtiari missed time. That offense wasn't what they were, but Aaron Rodgers' bad season was better than like any Jet season we've ever seen.
I mean, our all-time leader
passes from a quarterback.
Our all-time season single leader in touchdown passes is Ryan freaking Fitzpatrick with 31. Do you think Aaron Rodgers is not going to blow that? That's just averaging. He didn't even need to average 2 touchdown passes per game. to break that record.
Yeah.
He is going to rewrite the record book when he's here. By the way, you mentioned Atlanta, and why would Campbell go there? Probably because that conference is bad and that division is worse. But who are their quarterbacks? Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke? If that's who you think you're going to win with, God bless you. I mean, I like Heineke. I mean, because he's a local kid. You know, he played at Old Dominion, not far from here, and you know, a bunch of the guys in the group, we go to the ODU games. But come on, I mean, what is there to be? Atlanta just doesn't know what they're doing. They want to contend, they want to rebuild. They don't know what they want to do.
I really thought they would be in on Lamar. I thought Lamar would be like, I thought that, and they were the first ones to shoot it down.
Yeah, it made all the sense in the world for him to be playing indoors, you know, in that environment. I really like the idea of him having like the offense being built around a tight end, just like it is in Baltimore, because you go down there with Kyle Pitts, who
Pitts in London, you got two good pieces, better than what you've ever had in Baltimore.
Now you have London also. Yeah, Tyler Algier is a fine running back. But you could
also
really
shout out to Atlanta for drafting London and not Garrett Wilson. We thank you.
I was so happy when they did that. I did not want Drake London. I know there's a few of us. There was like the Wilson camp, there was the London camp, and I was firmly in the Wilson camp. I got some things wrong, no doubt about it. We all do, but that one I got right.
Look at the second most recent comment: Knobcraft Volume 2, the comeback.
I just wanted to highlight Captain Lou Albano because why the heck not? How can
I have a rubber band around it?
Ryan King, Mims will ball out this year. You know, until Mims is finally gone, Mims will have his fans and he will have his detractors. There will not be any middle ground. But I will say this: if Denzel Mims cannot have a good productive year, and I'm not asking like great, I'm not saying 1,000 yards because he's got a lot of good receivers who are in front of him. But if he can't at least get a couple of touchdowns this season with Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball, there's no hope for him in this league. Because Rodgers,
give me 35, 30 or 35 catches, 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. Show that like you're there.
Fifth receiver, why not? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think Davis is gone. I think Mims will move up. I think Davis is. The only reason they haven't restructured that deal is because the new team is going to do it. And I think, you know, like everyone's saying, he's in on the Packer deal from what all the rumors are.
I'm still amazed that as of right now, Corey Davis, Carl Lawson, and Jordan Whitehead are all on this roster. Now, I don't think that's going to be the case, say 3 weeks from now after the fallout from the draft happens.
Yeah.
But I would have bet that at least one of those guys was going to be gone. But remember, Rodgers has a way of elevating wide receivers and players who have done nothing else in their career and made them look at least manageable.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff Janis Kumaro. There are so many. Richard Rodgers. I mean, do you remember the Hail Mary pass he threw to him that Rodgers caught? Yeah. There are some crazy things he could do. And Mims definitely has the talent there. If Rodgers can't figure out what to do with him, Mims could be a surprise player. It could work out, especially if he has the opportunities with Davis going.
I think this is the perfect scenario for Mims. Hackett, I think someone in the chat said what I was going to say. Mr. Green Jean said Mims is exactly what Hackett likes in a wide receiver. He likes the tall, big body wide receivers. They do a lot of crossing routes tiered over the middle where you have that bigger body. Something I sent you guys in our chat blew my mind. Aaron Rodgers, courtesy of Rich Samini, has never thrown a touchdown pass to a first-round wide receiver.
They never won wide receiver.
I mean, he's thrown one to Bennett, the tight end, Bennett, I think, but it wasn't a drafted. It was a tight end. That's the only first-round player he's ever thrown it to.
Not Martellus Bennett.
Mercedes Lewis?
Oh, Mercedes Lewis?
Yeah, I think.
Wait, was Lewis a first-round
somebody. Pick? It was a tight end. It was, but never to a wide receiver.
I would have thought there would have been a running back somewhere in there, but Mercedes
franchises
Lewis,
don't draft running backs in the first round. The Packers haven't.
Lewis was a first-round pick in 2000.
Mon Green was a 6th round. Dillon was the 2nd.
Yeah, Dillon was the 2nd. That's somebody who I feel like A.J. Dillon. He reminds me of Sean Green. He doesn't show up for 12, 13 weeks until it starts to get cold out. Then he'll start to have some big runs.
Yeah.
But A.J. Dillon, I'm sorry. I expected a lot more from him than what I've been seeing. I really did.
I think he's too big. He needs to be more shifty. Like
Sounds
he's
like Eddie
almost like
Lacy.
he's too like a Brandon Jacobs. Like he's that in between the tackles guy. I think if he got a little lighter, maybe he'd have more agility out in the open field. But it's a good 1-2 punch with what they have with Jones, right? You can't knock it. I mean, it allowed Aaron Rodgers to take the back seat. They were primarily a run team for most of last year with his thumb and everything. You have a top 5 QB in the game.
Hey, Tigo. Oh, boy.
Yeah, Slim God just said only 6 of his TDs are to a pick in the first round, all to Lewis.
You know what? That even speaks to Rodgers' greatness even more. He didn't need the most talented players to make them great.
He made them great.
Jordy Nelson,
Jordy Nelson.
When Jordy Nelson has dinner every night with his family, they say a prayer, and the prayer goes like this: "We thank God and Aaron Rodgers. Amen." Every night, that's how that goes.
Some nights they thank Aaron Rodgers first.
God, aka Aaron Rodgers. I was actually thinking about that midway through. Well,
quick little reminder that a friend of mine grew up with A.J. Dillon, and I got to FaceTime with A.J. Dillon. I know I've told you about this previously. I got to FaceTime with him for like 3-4 minutes last summer when he was doing a signing in Raritan Center over here. Real cool dude. Real down to earth, awesome guy.
Nice.
I wanted to get him on our shows, and then his business manager was there. He was like, "All right, what's the fee?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, good luck, bro." A pat on the back, attaboy, and a thumbs up. It wasn't cutting it for him.
Well, here's a guy who gets a lot of pats on the back every time he does the show. Some people, they might not always give him thumbs up with some of his controversial takes. It might be a thumbs down. But let's see what he has to bring tonight, and we'll give the thumbs up or thumbs down like Siskel and Ebert a little bit later on.
Not like Jaquan Phoenix?
Something like that. We may not – you know what? I didn't have the music, but I think what we're going to do is do something just a little bit different to bring this next individual in. So just imagine there's some music playing in the background. Work with me.
No.
He comes to us from down south in a land down under called Florida. He is the ultimate Max Mitchell supporter, one of the most hardcore Jets fans in the world. Tigo.
What's up, gentlemen?
We gotta hold on. Look at the lights around, baby. Gotta sing a little Kanye for him now. I like the setup, brother. Good work.
Next time I do this, guys, I promise I'll figure out how to do the music as well.
Now he's just lying to us.
Oh my goodness. So Tigo, tell us, how do you feel any different than you have in the last couple days, or is it just like a wait and see approach as far as Rodgers go? Or what actually, what do you want to talk about? You want to talk draft? You want to talk Hopkins, Rodgers? What is on your mind today, my friend?
I think the most interesting thing to talk about at this point in time when it comes to anything Jets right now is like the whole Rodgers part of it, especially when you're talking about the Jets side of it, is talked to death. Now, what we're starting to see is more and more information coming out of the Packers side of thing, and them really trying like their hardest to try to get 13. Because you're starting to see more reports about different things coming out of it. Like, I think the one that's really blowing my mind, and I don't know if you guys have seen this report, but now there's like this rumor going around that Gutekunst has been told by the CEO, by Murphy, and by the board of directors. Apparently, I don't know if it goes as high as the board of directors, but he's apparently being told by Murphy that if he doesn't get a first-round pick, you tell them, whatever team, like, it doesn't matter, even if it's the Jets, if they're not being offered a first-round pick, tell them to pound sand. And that if the Jets don't want to give up a first-round pick, whether in this year or next year, that you open it up to every team after the draft. And I just go, so what I got from that is that Murphy and Gutekunst don't want to keep their job, right? Because what board of directors, because remember, they're publicly owned, is going to look at this situation and say, so you had an opportunity to get really good value for our franchise quarterback that you guys decided to move on from when you drafted Jordan Love. You didn't just you came up to draft Jordan Love, right?
Accurate.
You do all of
Yeah.
that, and then after he goes and has 2 back-to-back MVP years, you trade away his number 1 wide receiver when you very clearly could have paid him. Like, they could have fit him under the cap. And then continue to not draft him a wide receiver, right? And then insane stat. And then, like, don't support him. And then when you can get something for this year to help our young guy that we're trying to turn into Aaron Rodgers when we had Aaron Rodgers, you decide now we're good with a team that very clearly needs a wide receiver, very clearly needs a tight end. And you could have done all of, like, you're telling me, okay, take JSN at 15, Laporta at 43, because that's the pick that you would have gotten from the Jets, and then a corner at 45, which is the pick that they have. Like, it seems like a strategy of guys that know that they're going to lose their job and are trying to make up for it. But, like, you're not dealing with idiots. Like, Joe Douglas isn't going to do something like that. And it doesn't matter if 31 other teams call. It won't matter. Because Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to go to 31 other teams.
Exactly.
The Jets.
Yep.
No one's going to trade for him without the commitment. He's verbally committed to us. Joe Douglas publicly saying, I don't care how many peanut butter whiskeys he had. Joe Douglas publicly saying he's going to be here, to me, tells everybody, calm the F down. And that's out of respect to Jeremy's show. I censored myself. Calm the F down. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of what it is and when it is. But he will be here. It's going to happen. It's the Jets would have went another direction if there was any signs that it's not happening, but it's going to. The Green Bay's referring to him in the past tense. They played their card with that. You're basically saying we've, as an organization, moved on and refer to this player. We're going to bring him back someday. We're going to retire his number. We're going to give him, the send off. You're basically telling him we're sending him off. So I'm all about it.
Right?
I'm cool. I'm calm. I'm collected about it. I'm not stressing about it. You guys know very well that I have many other stresses in life to worry about.
Right.
But I think it's just a matter of not if, but when with this.
Yeah, I wanted to pull this one comment of the problem with Rodgers is that he doesn't have a no trade clause, so they can't technically trade him anywhere. But you know what? Murphy and Gunstekusen or whatever his name is, they've already come out and said they are going to do what Rodgers wants. They've already declared that publicly. They don't want to step on him. They just don't want to feel like they're getting messed over in the process of making the trade. Go ahead, Tico.
No, and I was going to say the other thing that he doesn't have an actual no trade clause. He has a de facto no trade clause, which is if you trade me to this team, I will retire. And that tanks his value. If he says the only team I will play for is the New York Jets, or I'm going to retire, 30 teams in the NFL aren't even going to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
That's just the reality of it. Because let's say you're the Houston Texans and you want 1 year of Aaron Rodgers for whatever reason, right? Or let's say you're the Indianapolis Colts. That's a better team that might want Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron looks at the Colts and says, if you trade for me, I will retire. I will not play for your team. Does Indianapolis even continue the conversation? Like,
no.
He doesn't have to have a no trade clause because
you got a better chance of Andrew Luck showing up at that point.
Literally, go bring him back.
And they call him every year. They still call him every offseason. And
he's still fishing. He's probably fishing right now as we speak.
They call him every offseason. I find that hilarious. And they're going to keep doing it until they have him under contract.
Yeah,
so they have the rights to him.
It's a shame they didn't invest in the line before that.
Oh my gosh, man! You talk about what could have been. I mean, he had a good career, but man, that was like one of those retirements that was like, really?
He was like a Burrow before Burrow. Like his ability to stand in the pocket and fire and lead a comeback. I just
see. I don't like that. I don't like that because I think Andrew Luck was better than Burrow. Burrow's an excellent quarterback, but who is Andrew Luck throwing to?
But they
The
haven't won
decrepit
anything
body of
either.
T.Y. Hilton, and
They got
you
to
know what
one
I mean?
AFC
Like,
championship game. So
Yeah.
but they got it off of his back. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
carried that
Or
team,
his
and
neck.
he was
His neck, right?
yeah. You're not wrong.
no
But like
kidding.
you get the point. Like his whole the whole situation was him doing it essentially by himself, and them failing to like they had insanely good defense. But like I don't remember them having anything outside. Like they had T.Y. Hilton obviously, and he was good during those years. But like that was it. They didn't have a number two. They didn't have a running game that was super phenomenal. Like I just
Guys, does somebody have something on in the background? Red John in the chat just said somebody has something on in the background. It's a little bit loud. Just want to make sure everybody's okay there.
It's me. People upstairs talking, and I'm trying to mute it when I'm not talking.
All right. It happens. Yep, we can't control everything. I did see one, just like the latest report, that I thought this was interesting from, was it Charles Robinson, who's one of the senior NFL writers online, I think at Yahoo. So his report is that the Packers are willing to do pick protection in 2025 if Rodgers retires after 2024. Okay, after 2 years. But if they do that, if they're going to add pick protection, they want a straight 2024 first with no conditions attached and a second round pick in 2023. The Jets are holding firm that they will not do that. So the Packers want a 2023 2 and a 2024 1. And if they're going to add any type of pick protection. Myself personally, I cannot justify a 2 and a 1 unless Rodgers plays at least 2 years, probably even 3. I can't give 2 premium picks for 1 year of Aaron Rodgers. So, you guys have any thoughts on that particular report? The Jets holding firm and saying no to the 1 and no to a 2 in 2 separate years.
Aaron Rodgers is not worth a 1. Right now, with that contract, he is not worth a 1. I don't care if it's for 1 year. I don't care if it's for 2 years. It doesn't matter. Aaron Rodgers, as of right now, is not worth a first-round pick. Like, straight up. I don't care if it's the first overall pick or the number 32 pick. The 5th-year option is way more valuable than what Aaron Rodgers is right now on like a future player. Now, if we make the Super Bowl and you like that's or an AFC championship and you're telling me that I'm giving up 28 to 32, I'd be more willing to have that conversation. Like if you're guaranteeing, like if you know in hockey or in basketball how they have like a top 10 protected pick, the Mavs have that this year with a top 10 protected pick, and so they started tanking at the end of the year so that they can try and get Luka some help. Or you see that in hockey all the time when the Leafs a couple of years ago traded for whoever, and they were like, it's a top 10 protected pick. And then we got a top 10 pick. So we got to keep our first round pick and it got pushed back a year. Like, unless you're putting those kinds of conditions on it, like Aaron Rodgers isn't worth a first. We're going to have to pay him $110 million this year and next year. And we're going to take $60 million of dead cap hit, either all in 1 year or spread across 2 years. You signed him to that contract. The player's value, which is sky high, because Aaron Rodgers is a top 5 thrower of the football this game has ever seen. And that contract lowers it. That's the reality of it. Why did Russell Wilson go for a bunch of firsts? Well, 1, because he's not 39, but 2, because his contract, we were going to be like, the team trading for him was able to dictate the contract. They weren't eating a massive contract. And so it's just about coming down to reality and realizing he's not worth an unconditional 1. I don't care. It's not going to happen.
Although I will say this, if it means a 2024 and it's a 32nd overall pick, then I will have to sign up for that trade. I'm sure Payo Time has no regrets of the Matthew Stafford trade and any first-round picks that it took to get that Lombardi trophy and for them to slide that ring on their fingers. And we, as tortured as we are, we would gladly make that trade in a heartbeat if that's what it takes. But yeah, I cannot trade 2 premium picks for 1 season. It is absolutely not acceptable to me. I still want an elevator pick in there with incentives on it. I would like an incentive-laden trade. But if the Packers are not going to accept that, if they're basically saying this is what we want, well, it's like, you know what? You're going to have a $60 million albatross in your weight room soon enough. And are you going to pay him $60 million to just sit on your bench? I mean, are
According to
did,
Bakhtiari, apparently, yeah.
well, Bakhtiari can just everybody can have their opinion, and he's certainly entitled to it. But he's not in the front office, and he's not part of the negotiations, unless he's part of this trade, which I don't think he is. Stairway to Heaven, awesome song. Too much radio play now. It's repetitive, like the Aaron Rodgers talk. Yep. I will say that is one of the most overrated songs of all time. I say it's a bad song, but it is very overrated.
I change it when I hear it, and
yeah, I can't listen to it.
That's a very good analogy. That's why you're a scout.
It's overrated. That's the wrong word. It's overplayed. You hear it so much that you're tired of hearing it. It is a masterpiece, but even when you
I'm over it.
Even the Mona Lisa, I'm kind of over it. It's a picture of a lady. We've been seeing it for like 300 years. Let's move on.
If I was gonna do Jeremy's shtick, I had to do it right. I couldn't half-ass a Jeremy intro. You know, I didn't have the music, so maybe that kind of balanced it out. So, Nolte, hope you still have your hearing over there.
I think the D-Hop trade is happening. I'm moving on.
It very well could. I want to. But, all right, I want to address this particular comment that JD doesn't get fleeced. He's the master fleecer. You got to remember the difference in this situation. In the other spots, he was trading a player away. He was trading away Darnold. He was trading away Herndon. He was trading away Adams. He was trading away Blake Cashman. This is not the case now. Now we are going after the player, and we are trying to get away as little as possible.
Future All-Pro Blake Cashman. Can you word that correctly?
I actually have the statue, the Blake Cashman. I've got an 8x10 hanging up on the wall over there in a Texans uniform. Yes.
Can we also?
That was Justin Hardy.
Can we also put some respect on the Chuck Clark trade, which was absolutely a fleecing? Not even a this year 7th, but a next year 7th for a starting safety.
I like it. I like it a lot.
It's not bad because you get him without having a bid for him on the market, right? Because he was going to get cut if no one traded for him. Because they got their starters. They got Williams and Hamilton. So they're like, all right, let's see our old buddy Joe who used to work here. You have any interest? Yeah, I'll give you a 7 next year. Take him, yours. And they asked him where he wanted to go. The Ravens did good faith with him too, which is a stand-up thing to do for a player who's been there for a while. Another guy that fits the Joe Douglas mold, right? He's been the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee in Baltimore. He'll be a great locker room guy. He'll be a great person. We don't have to worry about any stories popping up at 3:00 in the morning with him making bad decisions. It's another player that's going to help build and keep this culture growing and going in the right direction. So, and the quality of play will be a little bit better than what I think we've been used to at safety.
Is that 3 or 4 Walter Payton nominees that we have on the team? Quinnen, Solomon Thomas, Chuck Clark. I could have swore we had one more.
Was Hardy one? It would make sense.
Yeah, it would. But like, you know what I'm saying? Because the year before, last year was Solomon Thomas. The year before that was Quinnen Williams. Who was the year before that?
I'll try to look it up for you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, again, it's one of those things where definitely going to be it's those high character former captains, those types of guys that Joe Douglas really, really likes.
I mean, we had Beecham, right? But that was before Douglas.
Oh, Beecham. That's that one makes a lot of sense.
Ryan Khalil, was he ever nominated? Because we brought him in. That was Douglas.
I got the. I think I got the list right here. Wait, is this? Wait a second. Walter Payton Man of the Year. Is this the entire Jets list? Really? Some of these names I can't believe what I'm looking at. So I've got the entire list of going back to 2001.
Oh, let me throw out Mosley. Was Mosley ever nominated?
That's who I was thinking, but I don't think he was nominated as a Jet.
Not as a Jet. I'm just talking about as a Jet.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this is a pretty fascinating list. So 01, Kevin Mawae. 02, Mo Lewis. 03, Marvin Jones. 04, Kareem McKenzie. 05, Kevin Mawae again. 06, the GOAT, Chad Pennington. 07, Jericho Cotchery. 08, Tony Richardson. Makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
09 was the Berkshire Ferguson. 2010 was T. Rich again for the second time. 2011 was Dustin Keller. I wouldn't have expected Dustin Keller.
Yeah.
So 2012 was Brandon Moore. I'm glad that he got it because he deserves as much as anybody. One of the most underappreciated Jets of all time.
Him
2013.
as a D tackle.
Yeah, he was a D tackle and converted to offensive guard. Exactly right. 2013. Everybody, if you all have a vomit bag near you, you might want to get it handy.
Who is it? Wait. What year?
2013. Yep,
Oh,
yeah.
Wilkerson?
This will be our trivia for tonight.
Wilkerson?
No, that was 2014. Actually,
Okay. I knew he got nominated for one, and
this I of all the people it could have been, I cannot believe he
Jeremy
ever won.
Curley.
No, this is not a beloved Jet. This is not even a liked Jet.
That's why I said, oh, it can't be Richardson.
No, it's definitely not T. Rich.
Give us a hint. Give us the position.
Defense. He was a Jets draft pick. Chad, I'm checking you out. Chad, I'm looking. Come on now.
In 2013?
In
Don't
2013.
look into the right of your computer screen. I know you're doing. That's your Google search page. Turn your head straight, bro. I see you, Tigo. Keep.
That's why he has his
Google
9
one.
screens, just like Michael Floor did.
Defensive. It wasn't.
I
Calvin
was on my
Pryor.
All right,
screen,
John
I'll even
Nolte
share
said Darren Lee. It is not Darren
No,
Lee.
he was
It makes
16.
sense. He was a
a
little
16
later.
draft when tons.
Calvin Pryor. No. Hennessy. The question was: we're going through
Maybe
all the
Quentin
Jets.
Coples, right?
We're going through the Jets Man of the Year nominees, but there was one player in 2013. I absolutely cannot believe that this guy was our nominee. So we're trying to figure out who it is. So I'm just waiting to see the right answer. It was a defensive player, and it was a Jets draft pick.
Quentin
This
Coples.
is gonna kill me.
Wasn't Coples. No, wasn't Coples. It wasn't even Vernon Golston.
No, he was off the team by.
He's a little bit. Yeah, he was already gone. He was already in Siberia by
Can
then.
you tell us the position?
That's going to give it away.
Oh, D. Milliner.
No, it's a cornerback. It's not D. Milliner. It's
Dwight
another
Lowry?
one. What?
Dwight Lowry.
No, this is one of my least favorite Jets of all time. I'm genuinely stunned. Right now.
Patrick said the Revis replacement. That was D.
That's
Milliner.
Milliner. For a second, I thought it was somebody else, but now I know you meant Milliner.
I can't think of anyone.
I have no idea.
Team.
Oh, I think I just saw it. No, not Ray Mickens. Ray Mickens was good.
Ray was the 90s.
It's Kyle freaking Wilson. Ugh.
Piscataway's own.
That guy was like allergic to interceptions. I mean, he at least Milliner had good games in his career. He could cover Josh Gordon. He could cover Brandon Marshall. Kyle Wilson, he didn't get hurt. He just sucked. For 4 years, he was anemic.
You went 1 or 2 years before I can start naming off who I think I could go. I think I could go 2015. No, it's your list.
So who's that? Wilkerson was 14.
Wilkerson was 14.
Then it's
15. Was that Fitzpatrick or Mangold?
No, it goes Decker.
Decker, yes.
Let's
let Tigo see. Let's see if Tigo does this.
Fuck. After
Stop
Decker,
looking to the right.
I can't remember if it goes like Decker Anunwa, B Marsh, or if it goes Decker B Marsh Anunwa.
It has
Decker B. Yep. Okay. Yep. Yeah. You had that right. Decker B Marsh.
One of those two. Okay. Then it goes. Then there's the Beecham year. Then there's who was the center before McGovern?
Yeah. So
Harrison?
Decker. Yeah.
Christian Harrison.
before McGovern.
Beecham, Jonathan Harrison in 2019. That's right. Jonathan Harrison. Do you know 2020?
I do, but does the chat know 2020?
Yeah, you would say that.
Skips this one, and then it's Quinnen.
Everyone can say, I know it.
Hilarious. If anyone can tell me who the 2020 one is,
that will be amazing if anybody knows that.
Without looking it up.
So I'm
defense also
strictly guessing.
Defense also in the secondary.
You know, it won't even give it away. He's a cornerback.
No. You can probably say cornerback.
Yeah, he's a corner.
John Nolte, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. For every slam of the like button, Jeremy's immune system improves. So slam that like button, hit that thumbs up. Kyle Wilson did a lot of programs for kids in his career. Well, that's good. He didn't do a whole lot for the Jets.
Just 2020. Oh, New York Jets fan 4 just said Tremaine.
It is not Tremaine Johnson.
He was gone by then, wasn't he?
He was
the contract.
If he had been man of the year, oh my God, what else would we have had on that team?
I know his local TD Bank in New Jersey considered him man of the year when those checks are coming in.
So did his ex.
Oh, was it Jamal? Was it
not
Jamal?
Jamal.
Wasn't
Cornerback,
Jamal.
not DB. He's a corner.
Okay.
He had a lot of interceptions.
I'm reading the chat.
He had a lot of interceptions. No, Harlan, this is not a Jets draft pick.
Oh yeah, no. Sorry,
Not a don't think Jets draft pick. Not
Was it
like
Bryce?
Bryce Hall. No, it's not Bryce. Bryce was good. Bryce has been good at times. I mean, no, this
Guys,
guy, he made a
might
good
be-
play or he just blew it.
Here's what
middle
I'll
ground.
let you do.
Dude,
If you
that
wanna go
labels like
Google the
every
roster-
Jet from 2010 to 2021.
Not much middle ground with this one,
I'll
though.
tell you this: even if you Googled the 2020 roster and looked at the depth chart, not Buster Screen because he was already in Chicago.
Not
by
Buster
2020.
Screen. Not Lamar Jackson. Not the one who got burned by
Nope.
Henry Ruggs.
Did you
Not-
say he was a Jet draft pick?
No. He's not a Jets draft
No.
pick.
He had 1 year and he was gone.
Still in the league?
Calling him a cornerback is a
think so.
disrespect to the actual position he played.
I don't. He may be in the. Diego, do you know if he's in the league?
I can look it up.
Yeah. Check out. I'll check out the chat. I'll keep watch over that.
This is like it's so funny.
This is fun.
This is so funny to me.
Could it
I
be
know
the-
some of these names we've had make all the sense in the world, but there's like
He
one
was
or two
most
guys
recently.
Just because I know he doesn't play this position, but we always have to bring this name up for Adam. Was it Thomas Hennessy?
That'd be an all-time Jet.
Brian
great.
Poole. Yeah, Brian Poole. Yeah, Brian Poole is a good slot corner for us for
okay.
2 years.
It has not been in the league since 2021.
Okay.
After he left the Jets.
Don't say where he went. Let's not go there.
No, it doesn't
Yeah.
give it away because it won't help.
Dexter
He left
McDougal.
the
No,
Jets
it's not
for
Dexter.
Baltimore, and then left Baltimore for Tampa Bay, and his last year
Uh,
was 2021.
No wonder he went all over the
A
place.
sneeze? Would a sneeze be a good hint?
I don't think so. I'm not. I put it this way: the analogy you're making, I'm not feeling that one.
The first name.
No.
No,
Okay, because bless on Austin.
I'll give you
It
this.
says bless you in the first name. So I was like, a
Oh,
sneeze?
bless you. No,
I
it
was
wasn't
trying
Austin.
to be like hidden with it.
No, it was not Austin. He played in Indianapolis, I believe, before he came to the Jets. How about that?
yes, yeah, he did. It doesn't.
It's
help
on the
at
tip
all.
of your tongue. The chat, I know you got it in you tonight. Come on. You got this.
I'll give you his stats as a Jet. He played 9 games where he
Was it
started 8 of them, got 3 interceptions,
3 interceptions.
for
Yes.
58 yards, 1 touchdown, a 35-yard return, 8 passes defended, 1 forced fumble, 47 combo tackles, 37 of which were solo, and 2 tackles for a loss.
I'll tell you what, you went deep with Nate Harrison. That's
Wow,
a good
I totally
guess.
forgot this guy
That is
existed.
in the archives right there, Nathan, but
I will admit,
not the
I
answer to the
totally
question.
forgot that
There
this
it
guy.
is.
GVH
There we
fan.
go. GVH Pierre Desir.
There it is.
My gosh, we have had some of the greatest cornerbacks and some of the worst cornerbacks of all time. There is no middle
great.
ground with our secondary.
Just
Wow.
to tell you how bad he was, it was 3 years ago, and none of us even knew he was on
None
the
of us
team.
remember.
22. I told you. He had he didn't. I don't even think he ended the year with us.
No, he got cut. He
No,
absolutely
he got traded.
Oh,
He got practice squatted. He got waived.
I thought he got way. Yeah, I was
they
cut.
benched
He
him at the
was
end of the
traded.
year.
They waived him and he went to Baltimore.
I'll double check. Yeah, I think.
Like,
you're-
how is he our Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee?
Who the hell else did we have on that team?
Uh,
Oh my gosh. Haitian. Yeah, he was Haitian. He was from Haiti. He's played for 5 teams, 6 teams actually in his career. Yeah, he was with the Jets and the Ravens in 2020. Let's see if I can find exactly what happened to him in 2020. 1-year contract, $5.5 million. Oh my lord.
way too much money.
Yeah, and the 2 quarterbacks he intercepted, Nick Mullins and Brett Rippon twice, 2 all-time greats right there. Yeah, he was signed.
Pulling my leg, bro. Are these XFL guys? Like, what are you trying to pull here? with
No.
me?
What happened was I opened up Madden on my other screen and I
I
had
love this
creative
so
player
much.
names coming up.
I know
Yeah.
I'm out of the loop, but I think you two are pulling one on me here.
No, no, we're not.
Weird,
We're
man.
Are you
not.
trying to convince me Pierre Desir was a Jet? Because
It's on the Jets website, dude. It's on the website. Unless
Like-
Pierre
like,
Desir's in
here's the
control
list.
of it.
Here's the crazy part, right? Like, look at the list of names. Just
Oh,
legitimate great Jets.
Ring of
Eric
Honor
Bickel,
guys.
Brandon Marshall, Quincy Enunwa, Kelvin Beachum,
Kevin Mawai, T-Rich.
Jonathan Harrison, Pierre Desir, Quinnen Williams, like
Kyle
it's
Wilson.
Like how do you go from that to
November 17th? Yeah, we waived him November 17th. Despite being waived, he was named the Jets nominee for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. November 28th, he was signed to the Ravens practice squad. He played 3 games with the Ravens and was reverted after every game. Oh my gosh.
If you would have said to me, Nick, I will give you $1 million home, the car of your choice, the job of your choice. If you could name this guy, I would have never been able to. And I'm good with old names.
No, you're good.
That's why I
I
thought
would
it was
have never
hilarious
got to that name ever.
It didn't matter. I could have told you 2020 New York Jets cornerback. Get it, and you would have never gotten it.
The only way, if I wasn't doing this, the one way I would have got is if you had said he had 3 interceptions, because I remember he had a lot of picks, but he got burned hard. Like he gave up Jerry Judy's first touchdown. Like
my head hurts from that. I have like heartburn and agita from that whole Pierre Desir shit. Jeremy talks about some of the craziest things in the world, and we've never had a Pierre Desir conversation.
I don't think we've had a Pierre Desir drop yet.
We've never talked.
I will
once.
in February. We will mention one thing. In February 2021, he donated 10,000 meals to the Houston Food Bank during a winter storm, which put much of Texas out of power. So he is a good guy.
It is.
So
there it is.
Pierre Desir, we salute you. There you go.
Like I'm not saying
Rob
V. You could text me tomorrow. And be like, who did we talk about last? I'd be like, I don't know.
I don't know.
No idea.
Even sober, I'd be like, I've been trying to forget last night.
It just blows my mind.
I mean, we had that. He must have just had a really good story, or I don't know what he did in training camp. He must have done something to be the nominee there. But
I think it was like you said, donating all that stuff, but also like that 2020 team wasn't great.
No.
We haven't.
When you look at the
haven't had a lot of great teams in a while.
Like, and I'm not even talking about
was
like personnel wise. I'm talking about people wise. Like legitimately,
the
like
7-win Adam Gase team.
That is the 2-14 year.
That was 2-14. Okay. Yeah, that
looking at the roster, that explains it.
I'm pulling this up right now.
It was Sam, Frank Gore. Here were our starting wide receivers: Jamison Crowder, Rashad Perriman, Denzel Mims, Chris Herndon. Imagine he turned out. That was Mekhi Becton's rookie year. Alex Lewis, Connor McGovern, Greg Van Piece of Crap, George Fant, and those were your starting offensive players. And then on defense, it was Henry Anderson.
And was that before we gave him the contract extension?
No,
underrated player.
Oh boy!
And then Quinnen Williams. And remember, that was when we were running a 3-4 instead of a 4-3.
Exactly.
Well Terrell Basham, Harvey Lange, Neville Hewitt, and Jordan Jenkins. And then our corners were Bryce Hall and Blasson Austin, Ashton Davis, and Marcus May as your.
So you're saying we didn't draft well for a while?
What I'm saying is this team is absolutely atrocious.
Yeah. I mean, even Avery Williamson. I liked Avery. I mean, that would have been a guy I could see getting that award. He always seemed like a decent guy. There are guys here I don't remember. I mean, Bryce Hager. Oh my God! I mean, some of these names.
Avery wasn't on that team.
What?
Avery wasn't on the Jets 2020.
He's right here on the roster now. He might have got no. He played 6 games.
We traded him that year.
Games. Yeah, we traded him.
We traded him in 2019.
He was on this team.
We traded him to Pittsburgh.
Yep.
I thought what I'm saying is,
and then Arthur Millette joined him next year going to Pittsburgh.
And he's still there. Arthur Millette has carved up a career in Pittsburgh.
Good for him. I liked him. I liked him.
Yeah, we still had Bradley McDougald at the time. Yeah, that didn't work out too good. But Mr. Green Jeans makes a good point.
That was in the fleece. You had to take that player on.
There you go. Yeah, well, you know what? Brandon Marshall has one of the absolute greatest seasons that a Jets wide receiver has ever had. So it's almost like Fitz. One here very long, but when he was here, he made quite the impact. So
it's not one of. It is the best Jet receiver.
It is
season ever.
Yeah.
You know, other guys
when you're
obviously
looking at single season achievements, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's by far and away.
It's not even close.
Like I think he's also like this again, I haven't seen like the Altoons of the world, but like I think it's not even that hard to say like that he might be single-handedly the most gifted wide receiver this team has ever seen up until the drafting of Garrett Wilson.
I
No
mean, the most
Like, he was
athletically
better
gifted,
at-
I would say, yeah, probably him and
No argument here whatsoever.
Like he was better than
I've had
Quivette.
discussions
was
where
great,
Brandon
but,
Marshall is a top 8 receiver.
yeah,
of all
Maynard
time.
was great, but I don't know if he was quite the athlete. But I think he was smart. I think
You know what I
Maynard's
mean?
intelligence was what really was preparation.
Like he just looks.
And it was like the beginning of the passing evolution too. But I mean, if we lined up Don Maynard on a field with Brandon Marshall, you're taking Brandon Marshall 10 times out of 10. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Just a physical specimen, the size. I mean, the guy had what, a 21 catch game when he was in Denver? Or didn't he pass Terrell? Right? Wasn't that him who had like the
I think so.
he
Yeah,
had
that
the
was-
record-breaking receiving game when he was in Denver?
I've got I pulled up some single
I
season.
can't remember Pierre Desir was a Jet 3 years ago, but I can remember Brandon Marshall did when he was on
21
Denver.
catches in Denver. Wasn't even for
Yeah.
the Jets. It was in
Nick-
Denver.
It was for Denver, yeah.
Nick, that was worth remembering. That's the difference.
I had him on my fantasy team. Let's be real.
I have Pierre Desir on my fantasy team, but I pulled up the single season. What
That's the first time Pierre Desir's ever been in anyone's
That was
fantasy.
fantasy. Absolutely true. He's got quite a few kids, so I guess Mrs. Desir's doing all right.
Hey, Rob, actually, Quinnen had 7 sacks that year. Jenkins was second with 3.5. I was looking at it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it seems like Jordan Jenkins. Yeah, that was like one
And
of
then
those
who was
guys.
the other one? We had Lorenzo Malden was the other McCagnon mid-round pick from Louisville.
Yeah, that was like one of those guys we wanted him to be more than what he really was.
Speaking of
Okay,
McCagnon,
let's play this because Rob brought up Braylon.
Yeah, then I
is
want to give some
definitely
stats
underrated.
on this. Go ahead.
All right, go.
Oh, okay. I'll do this quick. I looked up single season Jets receiving records. If you go by receptions, Marshall's first with 109. Altoon is second with 93 catches in the season. If you go by yards, Brandon Marshall 1502. Next best, Don Maynard 1434. If you go by touchdowns, Marshall is tied with Don Maynard and Art Powell with 14. So no matter what you look at, it's
That's
Marshall
it?
all the way.
It's the best
it's only
Jet season
14
ever
for
until
Marshall?
Garrett
14
Wilson
touchdowns.
passes.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Decker had 12.
It's because he wasn't
Decker
the
had
red zone
12.
guy, right? That's what it was. Marshall wasn't the target in the red zone. Decker was.
Yeah, I think one of the best trivia questions I think I ever gave was in 2015, Marshall and Decker caught multiple touchdowns in that season. I think only 2 other Jets had multiple touchdown catches. And that was really difficult for the group to name, but it was Jeremy Curley and I think it was Bilal Powell was the other one. Because we didn't
I would have
have
gotten there eventually. I would've
Bilal
gotten to Bilal.
Powell. Yeah, we didn't not have a lot of depth at wide receiver, but what we had worked is how I would say it. So, Nick, did you want to say something about Jordan Jenkins?
We're shooting from the hip here, right? We're getting chaotic now. We're paying tribute to the channel. Let's think of the top 5 receivers who have ever played for the Jets. Not as Jets, but like Brandon Marshall,
Yep.
Art
Brandon Marshall.
Monk,
Yep.
Braylon. No, like, not talent. Like you putting Keyshawn up there, right? Keyshawn.
Would you put Plexico up there?
I would
That's a
put
good one.
Plaxico as clutch, but he was always in like a running offense first.
It's a
Like
tricky
Pittsburgh
one.
was a run offense, so he never put up those superstar numbers, but he was great at scoring touchdowns. He was like a Kyle Pitts playing wide receiver, right? He was just such a mismatch.
Yep. Another one you could put in is Rob Moore.
Rob Moore was very good.
I don't know about top 5, but top 10 I probably would. I don't know about 5. I think he might be on the outside. Like I love Cotchery, Jets fans for. I love Cotchery as much as anybody. Santonio, in terms of pure athletic talent, yes, but
Antonio might be on that list. I think he has to.
he might be. Yeah, just in terms of being a freak, he's right up there. Yeah.
Let me throw this out with it. Santana Moss or Lavernius Coles? Whose career are you taking? Wide receiver only, no punt returning. Because Moss gets the edge of punt returning. Receiver only.
Name Cromartie's kids.
And
Pass.
name Cromartie's.
We don't have enough time. We don't have enough time to name all
before I
Cromartie's
name
kids.
Pierre Desir. I could probably name the kids before I name Pierre Desir.
This is going to go down as the Pierre Desir show. I feel like Moss was
No,
more consistent.
Patrick Sullivan. I said as a Jet. They didn't have to be great as Jets,
Just their careers.
but who were the best 5 receivers to ever play?
I think Marshall and Monk are the first 2 I would think of there. But if you're asking me Moss versus Coles, I feel like Coles had some seasons where it was more down for him. I felt Moss was a little bit more consistent. Like Coles made a more immediate impact. But once Moss got going, I felt he was the more dynamic receiver. They're 2 different types of. It's just 2 different types of careers, really. Yeah. But you can't go wrong with either one.
Coles was like a tight end playing wide receiver because he was so physical, right? Like he did have breakaway speed. And I'm going to throw out a name, and this is no disrespect to Wayne Corbett, but talent-wise, I mean, Hart, he's number 1 all time for the Jets fan.
Yeah.
But talent-wise, you're not taking the talent. I'm a really big fan of Quincy Enunwa. Like, I think his talent was off the chart, and it's a shame he had the neck injuries. Because you look at Quincy Enunwa highlights, they're fantastic.
He's the biggest what if in like, and I mean legitimate what if. Like this guy legitimately could have been a superstar. And yeah, hey, we missed a super chat. I don't know if you're looking for that, Adam.
I know, I'm trying to find it. Yep.
It's by Red John.
I know. I wish there was a way to just isolate.
Oh, he did. It says, for fun in a world where AR doesn't come and Lamar goes back to Baltimore, where do we pivot? Trade for Tannehill, Winston, Darnold, call Brady, no Cam.
You go get
Well, Darnold just signed in San Francisco. They're not going to trade him. He's their insurance policy.
He's their starter. I think he wins the job dead at like 100%. You go trade for what's his name?
Tannehill from Titans.
Nope.
Trey Lance?
Nope. Trey Lance isn't getting moved.
Purdy?
Nope.
Oh, here it is.
San Francisco's going to run the 3 of them. There's no way. They don't. Jesus Christ. Kirk Cousins. There it is. You go trade for Kirk Cousins.
I wouldn't hate it.
That's what you do. He's a 1-year stopgap. You got a red shirt, Zach. He's a 1-year stopgap, and then there you go. You go trade for Kirk. It's not going to cost much. I think the sleeper team for a team to come up for a quarterback in this year's draft is the Vikings. I think the Vikings might come up. If one of them makes it past 7, if they make it past Vegas, I don't think any of them do. But if one of them makes it past Vegas, I think they come up. Especially because the guys that are more likely going to be there at 7 or 8 is going to be Anthony Richardson or Will Levis. And if one or if both of them are there, I think they come up for it.
Knobcraft says you just ride or die with Zach. I hope that is like heavy sarcasm.
I wouldn't be that upset with it either. Nathaniel Hackett's that dude.
I can't wait for that competition between Zach, Tim Boyle, and Chris Trevor. Maybe Pierre Desir could play quarterback. Who knows?
You're testing me. I know it. I'm not taking the bait.
I'm not taking the bait either.
I'm not taking the bait.
You can't do it.
But yeah, we apologize for missing the super chat.
That's okay.
That popped in during the Pierre Desir fiasco.
I didn't know this, but did you guys know that when Santana Moss left the Jets and obviously went to Washington, he never played for another team for the rest of his career? He played for Washington for 10 years.
Yeah, he was a heck of a
Why do I remember Santana Moss in a different jersey?
That was
like
Randy.
Outside of those two.
That was Randy.
Okay.
I mix up Randy. I mix up Santana and Randy all the time.
Right?
They're identical.
Yeah.
No.
Let's look at the guy who's like 7 feet tall and then the guy who's 5'2".
Exactly.
They just share the same last name.
Yeah.
No, I just don't remember why. Why do I remember him in like a blue jersey?
He was one of the part of that generation that started showing up to the games, rocking other people's jerseys, and that might be the image you have in your head.
Maybe.
Because they started doing that for a while, where they would show up wearing I forget. A defensive player showed up one day wearing a Joe Namath jersey, and everyone thought when the internet first started really blowing up with sports.
That's not ringing a bell. Who did this?
I forget the player, but somebody. Oh, Kobe showed up in a Joe Namath. Kobe Bryant played
Kobe
basketball.
Bryant did that? I got no
Kobe
idea.
Yeah,
Bryant,
but like
yeah.
I'm talking about cross sports. Like I just like that makes sense. Like if you go to a game
But
in
there
like a
was that
LeBron
era.
jersey.
What Kobe did it in the early 2000s. That was the era where
Yeah,
everyone was
yeah.
like paying tribute to other players. So that you might just have that image.
Maybe.
But-
It's crazy to think he left and then he just went to Washington for 10 years.
Yeah,
That was
he was just
relatively mediocre.
Every
over there,
Jet
but he
for a
went.
while left and went to Washington. Like that
oh
one
it,
off season, they
all,
took
all of them.
Randy Thomas. They took
Coles, Thomas, John Hall, Chad Morton, the
Yeah.
Jetskins, all four of them. And that was one of the worst things. And that's why Terry Bradway, I mean, people love to rip Idzik, they love to rip McCagnon, and understandably so. But Terry Bradway made some mistakes that were just unbelievable. I mean, one of the big things with Chad, not only that he got hurt, but Terry Bradway let his go-to receiver go right out the door. And who did he replace him with? Justin McCarrons. Curtis Conway. Come on. That was the best we could do to replace Lavernius.
Did Lavernius go to Washington?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's another one.
Do you remember when the Redskins, if I could say that, I'm like, YouTube might hit us for saying Redskins.
It's historic.
But remember when they had the real burgundy helmet and it was just like the arrow on the side of the helmet that alternated?
Yeah, they went dark burgundy with that logo.
Super dark, like
was
wine.
They rebranded. That was when they is that when they got Hainsworth too, and they spent all that money on Hainsworth and they did the rebranding?
I don't know if it was. I know Steve Spurrier was the head coach that year because the Jets opened the season in Washington. And Vinny's
Sean Nolte's comment, Redskins, you bastard. But I read it like the South Park voice, you bastard.
But I remember Vinny was playing quarterback, and I swear to you, Herman Edwards was having him throw these 5-yard dunk passes. They were putting him in. Forget the West Coast offense. This would have been like the Pacific Ocean offense. Forget it was like farther west of that. And I'm like, do you not know that Vinny Testaverde has the ability to throw the ball 80 yards down the field? And he's giving him the dink and dunk offense. I mean, at that point, I was like, Herman, Hackett, whoever was offensive coordinator, what in the world are you doing with this
I
team?
think it was Paul that year.
It might have been Paul. Yeah, it might have been gone. Go ahead.
I got a trivia question because this is the play that popped into my head. Adam, you are not allowed to answer this. You know this.
All right,
we discussed this on the Mother's Day Marathon last year.
Screen pass to the left.
In 1998, the New York Jets clinched the division in Buffalo. Shaking your head because you weren't even born yet,
I was
probably.
3 years old, dude.
All right, man, whatever. If you can remember Blue's Clues, you can remember the Jets.
I know about the Super Bowl, and that was 12 years before I was born, so there.
Okay, so 1998 on the road in Buffalo, the New York Jets clinched the division. This was the game-winning pass. It was a bomb from Testaverde to this wide receiver. Who was the wide receiver? Adam, you know it, so don't even reply.
I do. Not saying anything. I think the chat's going to know this. I got a good feeling.
Yeah, it was. We got anyone yet? How about Dora the Explorer? Scott says. Tigo had a diaper change at halftime. He was down for a nap in the fourth quarter. He never saw.
I was asleep because wasn't this a primetime game? I was in bed already.
New York
dude.
Jets fan 4. No, it was not Wayne.
That was a day game.
Matthew. Wayne Gretzky.
Daniel Yanas got it. Daniel, my man Daniel. He knows.
Daniel got it. Dedrick Ward.
Dedrick Ward.
A very underrated slot receiver.
Yeah, Rob V. He knows.
Third receiver.
Number 89, I believe. I think he was 89.
When did Testaverde leave the Jets?
Oh, he left several times.
Right, he had multiple stints with the Jets.
99.
Last one.
He was with us 98, 99,
2000.
Chad was drafted 2000.
Yeah, Vinny was the backup when Chad took over. Yep.
In 2002, Chad took over when we were 1-4 and we made the playoffs at 9-7. I think he left in 03 and went to Dallas.
I know he was.
And then I think he came back because he came back when Chad got hurt one year.
I'll look it up.
And he started a game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You're right. Yeah, he was with the Jets from 98 to 03, Dallas at 04, back with the Jets in 05, then the Patriots in 06 and Carolina in 07. Before that, it was Tampa, Cleveland, Baltimore. So, yeah.
And what year was the Achilles tear?
That was the opening day of 1999. That
Never
was
forget that game.
I want to say 11 minutes and 42 seconds left in the second quarter. For some reason, those
How do I
numbers.
remember
Sick.
that game?
You're truly sick.
It was at the midfield of the old
Yeah.
light green AstroTurf.
The red.
He went to hand it off to Curtis Martin. The ball popped out of his hand. He planted and went to go back. And when they announced that he might miss the season, my mother took my sister out of the house and went to my step-grandmother's across the street and did not come home for hours. My father and I sat there like we just lost a family member. Elway retired. Denver was down. We were favored. And you know what? We would have won the Super Bowl that year if Parcells would have got rid of Rick Meyer and went to Ray Lucas 2 weeks sooner. We were unstoppable.
Yep.
Ray Lucas beat Dan Marino, Brett Favre, Troy Aikman in their primes down the end of that year.
And we still finished, I think, 500 that season. You know,
Here
just
I am.
that is
25 years later, man. That was the closest.
Ballsby Hurton, second saddest injury I saw as a Jets fan. What would the first be then?
Got to be Dennis Byrd. He had to be there for the Dennis Byrd game.
Oh, that's not. Oh, yeah, that's. I was thinking Revis and the ACL, but yeah, it had.
But that wasn't like a. No, that wasn't.
I would guess the Dennis Byrd game. That to me is the most traumatic. I wasn't at it.
That's a whole other level.
He said Bird.
It's Bird.
That was at home, like that was traumatizing sitting at home watching it because I'd never seen anything like that before.
Oh boy.
You know, I was too young. Here you go, Tigo. I was too young for something, believe it or not. There was a time when I was too young for things. And the Joe Theismann thing, I was too young for that. But that was like what people said was because you heard it. You heard it.
I obviously wasn't alive for that, but I know they hit very well.
Yeah, I think I was like 3-4 years old. When they have 85-ish?
I think it was before
84, 85. It definitely was.
Washington went to the Super Bowl in '84. Was it Mark Rippon or was Theismann gone by then?
No.
Theismann the Raiders, right? That was Marcus Allen.
Theismann took him to both Super Bowls against Miami and the Raiders. They went to back-to-back, and by '87 it was Doug Williams. Rippon was '91.
What are we talking about?
But I know Theismann. I know Theismann did not play the Giants in '86 at that NFC title game at the Meadowlands. So yeah, it would have had to have happened by '85 to Theismann. He would have been done by then for sure. Definitely
Willis
was.
McGahee.
Rob just brought up
the Willis McGahee
the Theismann injury year, or are we talking about the Bird injury year? Because the Bird happened in '92.
We're back and forth.
yeah, we're fast and furious. It's chaotic.
It almost feels like a Friday, except we have a
worst
long way to go.
Injury I've ever seen on TV was the kid from South Carolina, the running back Lattimore, Marcus Lattimore.
It would probably be Marcus.
He was supposed. The 49ers ended up drafting him and like benching him for like 2 years, and then he tried to make a comeback and just couldn't do it. That's how bad the knee injury was.
If I knew how to pull up video, I would pull these up, but not sure exactly what I would be doing here. I don't want to kill the stream, so it's not worth it. But yeah,
going back to a lighter, cheery note so that we can make fun of other dysfunctional franchises.
Let's do that.
Guess who's about to pull a McCagnon?
Now that could mean a lot of things here.
Let me finish my comment.
All right.
Or pull a Chris Johnston and let a McCagnon run the draft and then fire him after the draft is done. You guys heard this report?
I have not. So this would be a complete guess.
Cal McNair, owner of the Houston Texans, is about to let Nick Caserio, their general manager, run this year's draft. And there's rumors that he might be fired before week 1 and or that he might be leaving the team before week 1, but they're going to let him do the draft.
I would have thought Houston.
Does that make sense?
Houston or Arizona? Those are the two teams.
All right, Will Levis, number 1. Bet it.
If not Anthony Richardson.
Or number 2. I'm sorry, number 2. Because
Here's the best part. This is all
trade up to number 1. Screw them completely.
Because D'Amico said that they're not looking at finding a franchise savior at 2. There's a legitimate shot that the Houston Texans don't take a quarterback at 2.
That's been my take. My take has been take Will Anderson and then trade up from 12 and get one of the quarterbacks.
I would have taken Tyree Wilson.
Yeah,
And
you've been
here's
a Will
why.
Anderson guy from the beginning, Nick.
The reason I say
Tyree
Tyree
Wilson's
Wilson,
my number one player in this draft, but the Texans would take Will Anderson.
he's no. You take Tyree Wilson because Tyree Wilson needs some time to get going. He's not going to hit the ground running. And so what you're doing, it's the same argument that I have that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should take Drake May at 19. And the reason I say that is Drake May is Michael Mayer. And the reason I say that is because Michael Mayer is going to be a fantastic NFL tight end. But an NFL tight end right now with that team isn't helping you win games. And you should be trying to actively lose games because you should be with the Houston Texans going for Drake May under Caleb Williams next year.
Guys, I got a question for you. And Chad, I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. But I was thinking about getting ready for the show tonight, and I wanted to throw a question out. We haven't done a whole lot of draft talk here, but I want to ask this question. If you are starting a team from scratch, so we're not thinking about formations. What?
I love these.
All right. We're not thinking formations. We're not thinking strategies. Let's not overthink it. Just simple, straightforward answer. You're starting a football team, and you could draft any one of these players available in this draft. Who are you taking first?
Number 1 overall?
Yes.
Bijan Robinson.
You're taking a running back first, really?
Because of all of the players that could go number 1 overall, he's the only player that could impact this future team that I'm building without positions, without anything, the most. You take Will Anderson, doesn't change it. He's not going to be effective by himself. You take any of these quarterbacks, none of them are going to work without an offensive line. But
You say that for a running back, though, too.
Bijan will create space. Bijan has that Brees ability to create his own holes. And the reason I say that is, remember the Brees cutting it back upfield during the play falls apart. He's supposed to pitch it back to Garrett Wilson. Doesn't happen, and he cuts it upfield during the Green Bay game, creating his own hole. And that's what Bijan can do. I'm taking Bijan.
We got some love for Bryce Young here.
There's no way in the world I could give the keys to my franchise to a guy who's 5'10" and a quarter. Yeah, I mean,
5'10", 90 pounds.
You go watch the LSU game from last year because, you guys know my son is an Alabama fan. And we watched the LSU game. And LSU was putting pressure right up in the middle. And every time he had to step up in that game and throw, the ball was short. When the pocket was collapsing, he short-armed it. Go watch the game. Go watch the footage. There's at least 4 or 5 passes. He's short going over the middle or deep because the pressure was coming. And he just wasn't big enough or strong enough to get it there. I cannot. There's no way in hell I would take this guy. This is my major red flag. That's my choice. Because
I would take Carter, but he's going to be the first guy in the locker room.
Talent alone.
I agree. He's my number one guy on my board.
If we're doing this make believe scenario of starting a franchise, all things are even with the person, right? That's how I'm gonna do this. Jalen Carter, the talent, with the way the NFL is now, and the way that the defensive linemen. If you can get that push up the middle, you change the game. You make everybody better. And Jalen Carter, to me, is a phenomenal player. And you guys know how much I love defense.
Carter's number 1 on my board, but in this hypothetical, he's the first player in my locker room. Like, it's a different. Like, if it's like,
I got you. You're looking at it from a different vantage point.
Yeah, like if you have a team full of players that can win you 8 games, and you have to pick one guy who you think can impact. I'd probably still go Bijan if we're being honest. But like, Carter is a game wrecker. Carter just breaks the game. Like, he does more for your defense than any of these defensive players are going to do. Like, whoever's going to get Carter past the 3rd overall pick is committing highway robbery. It's like when the Jets took Sauce at 4. He should be the number 1 pick. I think the Bears would have been better served sticking at 1 and taking Carter than trading it for the first this year and the first next year and all that stuff. I think he's that good.
Yep, there's absolutely questions, Nolte. No doubt about it.
If that's the case, can I change my answer to Carter?
Well, yeah, I believe Carter is. It's so funny. It felt like even a year ago, like we were talking about Will Anderson and how he was absolutely the clear-cut number 1 player, and and then it became Carter, and then all these alleged things have happened. The fact that he has not seemed to have had very good workouts, pro days, it does worry me somewhat. But in terms of the upside, to me, there is nobody who comes close to Jalen Carter. I don't think the Jets are going to have a prayer of drafting him, and so be it. But whoever gets him, they're either going to get maybe the biggest hit of the draft or the biggest what could have been in this draft.
It's
Hey,
one of those things where like Jalen
gentlemen,
Carter's so good.
I'm gonna bow out.
Okay.
I got some things to take care of tomorrow early with my sister, so I want to make sure I don't miss her coming here to grab me. Chat, awesome being back and mixing it up with you guys. This is the best show we've ever done on Jeremy's channel because Jeremy wasn't here.
Chew on that.
I'm not gonna argue
both
it.
of you just
Chew on
nodded
that.
in agreement. Both of you nodded in agreement, like we planned, like that comment, and just like razzing him with that.
The synchronized Jets nod. That's what
I don't disagree.
I hope everything's all right with him. I don't know what happened, but everyone, take care. God bless. Go Jets. Be good,
Stay
boys.
well, brother. We'll talk soon. All right, and there goes Nick Shine. We thank him very much for being back on. It just adds a little bit more life, really, when Nick is here. For all the, we all love to give each other a little bit of crap, but there's no doubt there's a certain energy and a knowledge that comes in when Nick enters these chat rooms. So we were very happy to have him on. All right,
Nick.
so
That's why I
Tivo
wanted
and
to hop on was just to talk to Nick because I haven't done it since he got back.
Yeah, I actually had a chance to speak to him on the phone not that long ago, and we definitely talked about a couple of things. And yeah, he's definitely in he's in a better spot. He's in a better spot. I'm very happy for him, and I'm very hopeful that better days are definitely going to be ahead for him. I'm feeling that not because it's what I want to feel, but I actually do feel it, and I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say this whole 3 years before you could go and declare for the NFL rule doesn't exist. Or let's say it's a 2-year declaration, right? And Jalen Carter and Will Anderson can come out last year. So eliminate this year from their record.
Okay.
In your mind. So Carter's coming off of what might be one of the best years of a defensive tackle in college football history. And Will Anderson is doing the same thing with that stacked Alabama team as well and all of that stuff. And they come out in last year's draft. Who goes number 1 overall? Include all the players from last year's draft.
Oh, include everybody from last year's draft?
Last year's draft is still a part of this. You're just adding Carter and Anderson. Where do those two guys go if last year's players are in that mix?
I gotta say this. I knew Anderson last year. I did not know Jalen Carter much at all. I really did. Now, again, I'm not an average college football watcher. I'll watch a little more during the bowl games, but I'm not as invested into it as some other folks are. I would have been an Anderson guy all day long. I felt
you would have taken him over Trayvon and Hutchinson.
Over Trayvon? Oh, yes. I've not been.
Because I remember you weren't.
Especially for the Jets. I was never a Trayvon guy.
Same number 1 pick. It's still the Jags. Jags got to take a guy number 1 overall. You're taking Carter over Walker.
Am I taking Carter over Walker? I'm taking Anderson. No,
I'm sorry. You're taking
Anderson. Anderson. Yes.
You're also taking Anderson over Hutchinson. Hutchinson should have been the pick.
That's the toss-up. I would have taken him over Kayvon. Hutchinson, that's the tough one. I think I would have gone Hutch first.
Because I would have taken Carter first.
Okay.
I think if Carter came out, he was the best player on that Georgia defense.
I really want the pure draft. Yeah, I feel like I need to get the pure edge rusher a little bit sooner in most cases, and I can still get a really good tackle in a lot of different spots. Well, if we're talking for the Jags for a specific thing,
the Jags,
okay,
yeah,
that's
like
the
draft order stays the same.
Then I can understand why you might want to go Carter first in that spot to sort of complement what they already have. But if I'm just picking a team, then it would have been probably Hutch or Anderson, depending on what I wanted to do with that team. But those probably would have been my 2 favorite prospects if you insert Anderson and Carter into last year's draft.
I think the only thing that would change in last year's draft if this was the case, is that I think Jalen would have gone 1.
Okay, I can see it.
I think he was by far and away, and I still think he's by far and away the best player in this year's draft. And I think last year, for players not named Sauce, because I think Sauce would have still been my number 1 guy.
Yep,
because he was my number 1 guy last year.
he was.
I think Carter goes to the Jags. I would take Hutchinson over Anderson. So Hutch would still be a Lion, but the Texans wouldn't pass up on Will Anderson, in my opinion. And then we still get Sauce at 4.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing of the draft that changes.
Just want to give a quick shout out to the Duke of Draft Breakdowns himself, Dom C. Jeremy's not feeling too well tonight. He said a quick hello to us, sort of in the back a little bit earlier.
That's actually a lie. I flew to California and tied him up in the back, and we have taken over the channel. This is now Jets Chaos.
All right, well, it's out
Adam and
now.
Ego.
I mean, if you want to blow our cover, I mean,
They don't know where he lives. They can't rescue him.
Sacred
And his
tomato.
wife's on board.
I'm sure Jocelyn would be on board with that.
Got him tied up in the back. Easy breezy.
But I mean, seriously, when was the last time there was a full week when either Green Bean or Jeremy weren't sick? It never happens anymore. One of them is always under the weather.
For real.
Yeah, but yeah, Don, we had Nick here for a while, so he came on. So if you want to go back and check that out in the archives, you can certainly rewind. And now it's just you got TNA, you got Tigo and Adam. We're giving you a little TNA tonight. Oh,
Wouldn't it be
gosh.
Adam and Tigo because of the alpha? Like, wouldn't you go alphabetically?
I know, but TNA is going to get more people's attention that way. But it's all good. Yeah. Hey, I don't know if I could reverse us, but no, we'll just zoom in there. But if I could have switched us around, maybe I would do that. Then we'd really have it going on. So, Rob makes a good point.
Draft.
Yeah, Rob makes a good point. Will Anderson's hype last year was insane. It was. It almost did a disservice to him that he had to play one more year. It seemed that was the case with a lot of guys this year, whether it's a Jared Patterson, and there was a couple of guys whose draft hype went down a little bit. I think Anderson was one of them.
Jordan Battle. Jordan Battle was a
Jordan Battle. Yeah, that's
and now he's not even a day 2 guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's going that's like a round 4 projection in a lot of cases. Pretty amazing how that changed. And I think Stromberg could have been a little bit higher, but now Stromberg can go anywhere. I think he'll go day 3, but it could be any round in day 3.
Yeah, he can go. Like, I'm not personally a Stromberg guy.
Yeah.
Like, he's not, like, I'm not a fan of his, but you're going to start seeing now with NIL deals, guys are going to go back for 4th years a lot. Because if you're not a first-round pick, what's the point of coming out? Because you have to remember, a lot of these guys at their schools are the guy. And if you can say, go back to school for 1 more year and possibly raise your stock and make a couple $1 million, you know how I look at it? Before Carolina came up, I thought Bryce Young was going to the Texans number 2 overall. He was going to be the first quarterback taken. And then I thought it was going to go, I thought CJ was going to fall a little bit by the wayside. Even though I have him as quarterback 1 in my draft, on my board. And I thought, if Ohio can come up with an offer, he should go back. Because I heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is true, that there was like an $11 to $13 million deal on the table for him to go back to Ohio. And he passed that up to come to the NFL. Now it's going to work out for him because he's going to get coached by Frank Reich and play in Carolina. So he's going to play absolutely dismal opponents. He's going to be the number 1 overall pick and he'll make a ton of money. But it's always one of those things where it's just are players now going to risk going back to school for that 4th year? Yeah, the whole injury thing, but they're going to get paid now. Jordan Addison went to USC to get paid. That's why he left Pitt. Right? I just think it's a very interesting dynamic to think of.
College sports are really different. Yeah, college sports are really different. I mean, I remember there was always the saying that college sports is about the name on the front of the jersey and pro sports is about the name on the back of the jersey. And I'm like, it kind of isn't that way. I mean,
no. Not at
It's a
all.
business. I mean, the NCAA is much of a business as one of the most corrupt organizations.
Yeah.
Oh, that is one sick organization right there. And with the whole transfer portal and all this other stuff that's going on, even more so, it's very individualistic. I mean, when you can leave school after 1 year, I mean, why do we have all these upsets in the NCAA tournament in basketball? It's because the teams that have camaraderie, that have those 4 years together, they know each other well enough, and they're not relying on the individual talent. And that's why you see these crazy upsets now more than like when we were growing up. You would never think of a 16 beating a 1. If a 15 seed beat a 2, I mean, that like would lead the sports stories on the news at night. It's not that way anymore. Now it's like, oh yeah, 16 beat a 1. Yeah, I could see that happening. And that is all about college athletics and how the structure of it has changed, and it is affecting. It can affect these guys' careers, but it just becomes. It's hard to have an attachment to it. I mean, it's as much unless you went to that school. I mean, I never went to a college that had football, unless you count like the 2 classes I took at NC State. That's really it. I never went to a high school or college that had football. So for me, it's like I know it's crazy. But for me, it's
my
like
college is transferring to the Big 12 soon.
Wait, where'd you go again? Remind me.
I am at UCF.
Okay. Yeah, and the fact that Texas and Oklahoma are going to the SEC. I mean, I just can't fathom that. I mean, it was bad enough when Syracuse went to the ACC. That was like betrayal for me. But Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC. My God. The day that the Big East really started to break up, when Syracuse and Pitt left, that's when I really realized what a business it was. Because it was all about getting that football money, because college football rules college sports.
It justifies all of these other programs. All of these other athletic programs are literally driven straight up by football. Like these
That's
other
right.
programs and these other there's schools that I don't think exist if it isn't for their football programs. Like, let's be honest here. Why in the hell is there a major university in Alabama? What's in Tuscaloosa? I'm just asking.
It's not the capital.
Can someone tell me
Of all towns.
what matters in Tuscaloosa other than the Crimson Tide? I'm just asking. I'm asking for a buddy, right? Like, it does. Like, Louisville shouldn't matter, but they have an insanely good basketball and football program, and now Louisville's on the map. Like why does Syracuse matter? And I'm from New York. It doesn't. Yeah. It shouldn't. But they got the big orange out there, and so they matter now.
Did you ever hear the story of when? I'm sorry, but did you ever hear the story of when Vince Lombardi was hired as the Packers and the conversation he had with his family? No. All right, so he comes home. This is on the beginning of his NFL documentary. It's unbelievable. And his daughter tells the story. He says, so he comes home and says, we're moving to Green Bay, Wisconsin. And his daughter goes, well, where's Wisconsin? So he goes and gets out a map. And he's looking at the map, and he sees Milwaukee, he sees Madison. And he says, it's not on the map. And she goes, well, I'm not moving to any place that isn't on the map. And at that point, his blood starts to boil, and he says, by the time I'm done, you will know where you lived. Lombardi put Green Bay on the map.
Of course he did.
So, yeah, so it's about it happens in pro sports too. Just the influence that it can have is just great. Yeah, none of us would have known what a Tuscaloosa was.
That's my point, right?
It's very well said.
If Alabama, if the university's program isn't as big as it is, like, no one knows about Alabama. Like, the same thing goes with like Chattanooga. Like, there's a bunch of these places that just because they have Division I football teams, like North Dakota matters now because NDSU is starting to like create a pipeline of NFL caliber players. You know what I mean? Like, you see a lot of that. And Rob V with an absolute hot fire take. I am bookmarking this, and we'll talk about it in 4 years, Rob V. Because, this is bad. This is one of the bad ones. It's 11:58 p.m. message.
Was it this one?
Yeah, this is bad. This is a rough one.
Rob, if you're going to be right, man, bookmark it. I mean, make that. Just say Rob V. Addison, the JSN. Just put that right next to your name if that's the way it turns out to be.
Yeah,
but
we
that'll be
can
impressive.
we can revisit this one. Absolutely.
Down
We
the
can
road.
talk about it a year from now, 2 years from now, 4 years from now. I don't think Addison will ever be a better wide receiver than JSN. And that's not me talking bad about Addison. Addison is going to be a fine pro, but he is a wide receiver 3 who just runs really fast. Like that's his ceiling, in my eye.
Yeah, I think Addison's a good player, but yeah, he's not going to be. I don't think he's a team leading receiver the way that JSN could be.
Marquise Brown, but not as big.
Mm. Oh,
That's what he
Hollywood
is.
Brown?
Yeah,
Hollywood
yeah.
Brown talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's just not as big. That's it. Just Robbie Anderson, but not as tall.
Oh boy.
You know what I mean? And again, like there was a time and place. Robbie Anderson was a good wide receiver. You know what I
For
mean?
a little bit before
wide
he
receiver
became
3.
Yeah, before he became
chosen one.
chosen.
Like I'm not saying anything bad about it, but like JSN can be Juju. And like, would you rather have Robbie Anderson or Juju? Now, that's saying something about how bad this draft class is, right? When we're the highest
Really
ceiling
is.
of a guy is Juju Smith-Schuster, but he's like the biggest like high volume
I'm like,
wide
cool,
receiver too
Juju,
that I can
great. You know, I mean, Juju's a nice receiver, but he's not special.
Matthew Smith isn't wrong there either. I would take Zay Flowers over Addison. I think he's
I like Zay a lot. Yeah, I definitely am a fan of his. I think whoever gets him is going to be very, very happy for it.
Oh yeah.
No,
But again,
no doubt.
don't ask him to be your number 1. Like this is the biggest concern I have is that the team that's going to, I'm not sleeping on him. I watched every game of his life.
Rob, don't turn into Kareem on us. Don't turn it into Kareem. You're crossing into Kareem territory.
I guess I understand why he likes Addison. Like I get it. I see what's there. But that's against a college program. Translating that to the NFL, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I just
that's
don't
right,
see
Hennessy.
that game.
That's right, Hennessy. We don't know talent. We be tripping, brother. Oh my goodness. Hey, 2 weeks away, brother. 2 weeks away from the draft. And I'll tell you what, it feels like it's taken forever to get here, but it's coming quickly. Like all of a sudden today, I thought to myself, oh my God, the draft is 2 weeks away.
It's so close.
It's I don't know if it's going to be.
Time.
Yeah. Last year, I felt was as special a draft night as I have ever had as a Jets fan. And I think just about anybody here would agree with that. I don't know what this one is going to entail. I think at the end of it, we could be very happy or we could be rather bewildered. It may include a trade for a quarterback, but I think Joe Douglas is going to do something that none of us ever saw coming. Go ahead.
What pick is going to genuinely upset you, though? We know he's not taking a quarterback at 13. So let's not say that. But realistically, at 13, knowing that eventually we're going to get Aaron Rodgers and all that stuff, what is going to happen?
I'm talking about a situation where maybe somebody gets drafted who we want and we just didn't have a chance to take them. Not that we pick a bad player. It's like we might pick a good player, but not who we want. That kind of a thing, you know?
I wanted Creed Humphrey more than life, and now he's winning Super Bowl.
A lot of us did.
You know what I mean?
But now that we have 42 and 43 along with 13, I mean, there's some room for some maneuvering. So we could go up, we could go down. And I do trust Joe Douglas to manipulate the board however he needs to. He just doesn't have as much to work with as he did previously.
Like it's just I think it's so interesting this year's draft because outside of the teams that are taking quarterbacks, we literally have no idea what any of these teams are going to do. We know what side of the ball some of these teams are going to pick, but like it wouldn't surprise me if when the Detroit Lions come up to the board or like let's say Seattle, because Seattle's probably going to be the first team picking that's not a quarterback, right? At 5. Wouldn't surprise me if they went Will Anderson. Wouldn't surprise me if they went Tyree Wilson. Wouldn't surprise me if they went Devin Witherspoon. Wouldn't surprise me if they went Christian. Like, there's literally not a pick that they can make that would surprise me. Because they need everything on the defensive side of the ball. Same thing with the Lions. The Lions, like, there's a legitimate chance that we go quarterback, corner.
Sign me up for that. Where do I sign up for that as a Jets fan? Please take the cornerbacks, take Bijan in the first 12. Oh my gosh, I would be overjoyed to see that happen. Save the trenches for Gang Green.
Like it's one of those things. Another one is the freaking is the Bears. I thought the Bears were in 100% on an offensive lineman, and then they signed offensive linemen.
Yeah,
Dude, they could legitimately go edge. They could take Lucas Van Ness.
Yeah, the Bears went all the way down to 9 in that trade. So, yeah, who knows what they're going to do at this
Like,
point.
they could take Paris Johnson Jr. I hope that the Paris Johnson isn't there for the Jets to take. I don't want him. I don't want Paris Johnson Jr. But, like, anything can happen. Literally anything can happen. And it blows my mind. Blows my mind.
Oh, my gosh.
I think the biggest surprise in the draft, that I'm going to call it now, is the Bills are going to come up to 12.
Come 12. Matthew with another one of his hot takes. Lions need a wide receiver. I guess Amon-Ra St.
wrong.
Brown, Jamison Williams, Marvin Jones, Khalif Raymond, Josh Reynolds. Those aren't enough wide receivers for you?
Nope. He is absolutely right. He is absolutely right. I would not be surprised. If they took JSN,
They'd be nuts.
At 6.
I'm sorry.
No, but if they took a wide receiver at 18, they took Zay Flowers at 18. Oh, yeah. Jamison Williams is – we only saw him at the back half of last year, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is great, but he's a wide receiver too. For me, the type of guy that they get would be a Quentin Johnston, because he's a big body guy. Like, that would be the pick that they would make. But, yeah, they do need a wide receiver. Saying that they don't need a wide receiver is a little bit of a take. Now, it's not their biggest priority.
Yeah. Tito, could you elaborate a little bit on why you're not a Paris Johnson Jr. guy? Sean Bennett's curious.
I just don't think that he's what the Jets should be looking for at a tackle. And, like, what I mean by that is Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be an NFL quality tackle, but he is never going to be more than league average. And that's the thing. He doesn't have the skill set. He doesn't have anything to go up and say that, like, the reason he's going to be the first tackle taken off the board is because he has the highest floor, right? But he has the lowest ceiling when it comes to these tackles. The Jets should be looking for high ceiling guys when it comes to the tackle, if they're taking a tackle at 13. So for me, the guys that you're taking at 13 are your Darnell Wrights, your Anton Harrisons, or the guy with the highest ceiling of them all, Broderick Jones. Broderick Jones should be the pick at 13. And I'm not saying just a drug monkey. I don't think the Lions take a wide receiver in the first round this year because the wide receiver class is so bad. But saying that they don't need they have 2 guys. And in this day and age where you need 3, like, you need 3 legitimate targets, to say that they don't need a wide receiver, I think, is a bit much.
I think one thing with Johnson, I think he needs to be a little bit of a better run blocker. I think he plays like too high sometimes. Is the thing that I've seen with him. I definitely think he's going to be a solid tackle, but I wonder quite how good his ceiling can be. But yeah, I think it's his run blocking actually that concerns me a little more. What I like about him is his attitude. I like that he's got some nasty in him. I want my offensive lineman to have some nasty on him, and
Again,
Johnson definitely does that.
He's a great prospect, but he's not what the Jets should be looking for. He's not one of the top 3 tackles on my board, like, at all. Like, when I look at my tackle rankings, he's offensive tackle 4.
Is it Skoronski, Jones, and is it Harrison your 3?
Well, Skoronski is my 3. It goes Jones, Harrison, Sko, Paris, Darnell Wright.
But it is those 3, okay.
And the reason I go in that order is because Jones and Harrison have the highest ceiling of them all. Jones, yes, is raw, but when you look at it from the Jets' perspective, whatever tackle we take at 13 does not need to start year 1. And that's the thing for me. If we were in desperate need, like, we legitimately, like, we don't have a right tackle, we need someone who can come in and start, Paris Johnson jumps up to the beginning of the list because he is the safest of the offensive tackles.
It sounds like an Andrew Thomas sort of thing, because Andrew Thomas was the safe pick for the Giants. And if that's what we get, then sign me up. But
here's the thing. Thomas had that ceiling.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Thomas had a ceiling.
Okay.
And it's like, if you ever play NHL and you play the career mode in NHL, they do a really good job with these prospects because they list what the guy's ceiling is and then the likelihood of them hitting that ceiling.
Oh, very interesting.
You can draft a guy in, like, the 5th round and he can have an elite ceiling, but a low likelihood of hitting his elite ceiling.
Gotcha.
Or he can be a top 6 guy. He can be a top 6 high. So the chances of him becoming a top 6 guy is very, very likely. So it shoots him up boards. And so that's the whole idea And so when we're looking at tackle at 13, when it comes to like the idea of putting him in an NFL team that doesn't have to start immediately, he's being taken as insurance and to start next year, which is what the Jets are doing at 13 with tackle, right? Broderick Jones and Anton Harrison are the guys because they have the highest ceilings, but they need work. Broderick Jones is a raw prospect, but he has the highest ceiling of any of these guys because he's just so good. And then if you look at Anton Harrison, he's the best pass blocker in this draft, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree.
But he's light. Doesn't he play at like 300 pounds? Like he needs to put on some weight. He needs to come into an NFL locker room and put on some weight. And so both of those guys, I would feel comfortable starting at left tackle next year, which is when we need the tackle, isn't it? For next year, not for this year, assuming everybody stays healthy.
Are you putting Max Mitchell to the side? Because I could have sworn you said you were looking at a right tackle.
Mitchell. I love Max Mitchell, and I think if we don't take a tackle at 13, my ideal situation is Mekhi Becton at left and Max at right, because I think that works out.
Well, that'd be perfect if it worked out.
If you could trust Mekhi Becton, that's the biggest. If you can trust Mekhi Becton, and you were to tell me 100% that Max is okay, I wouldn't take a tackle at 13. But the problem is, and why I'm so adamant for tackle at 13 is because Dwayne Brown is coming off of a huge shoulder injury.
Yep.
And he's 38, turning 39, right? Mekhi Becton, who has the potential of being one of the best tackles in the NFL, hasn't played football in 2 years. And Max Mitchell, who I'm a huge fan of, if you become a member of the Talking Jets with Ego Navy, you get a Max Mitchell emote. I love this kid, has blood clot issues. And that's not like a throwaway thing that you can just deal with. Side tangent, have you kind of come to that realization, like, and it's great that modern medicine has gotten to that, but like the last couple of years, it almost seems like cancer has become that like, oh, it's just going to delay a guy's career by 1 year. Because like Mechie got cancer, he's coming back.
John Mechie, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you see that all the time and you're just like, hey,
depends
like,
how soon they catch it.
This is fantastic for these guys, right? Because they're all in these NFL locker rooms. They catch everything super early and they get to beat it and they get to live their NFL careers. But like, I think it's one, a really good sign about our medicine, but like a knee injury does more bad for a guy's career than if he gets cancer, because they're like, oh no, they'll just clear that up and then he comes back in a year. Or if it's like a knee injury, you're just like, well, I don't even know if this guy can play football ever again. I just think that's quite comical.
Wow, we're preferring cancer to a knee injury. Well, on that note,
look, that's what happened to John Mechie. Voorhees was going to be a second-round pick. He might not he might not get drafted. He might go undrafted.
Andrew Voorhees?
Yeah.
Well,
because he blew his ACL at the freaking combine.
Oh, it was the ACL injury. Because I remember Dom had him as his second favorite interior offensive line prospect. And it's like all of a sudden nobody's talking about Voorhees. So, okay. So I guess that's one good reason why. That's right. Like, he did blow his knee out. That's true.
And it's one of those things where it's just like, I think it's very, of course, Sean Bennett, you're absolutely right. I'm not going to sit here and deny that. There are there's very, very serious types of cancers out there. But like in the sports world, it seems like in the last couple of years, we've seen more guys beat cancer and come back than guys beat get knee injuries and come back. Like, and I think that's a little comical, but it's besides the point. And that's the problem. Going back to the tackle room, that's the problem. That's why tackle at 13 is so necessary, is because of the fact that the three guys that I think are all NFL caliber starting tackles all have a massive question mark with injury on them. All of them. And in an Aaron Rodgers year, you have to solidify the offensive line. You have to. And
sure, if that means that you put a non-rookie on the left side and insert some guy on the right side who could eventually move over to left. I mean, if you could decide between a rookie now and Becton, you could flip them if you needed to. I mean, again, it's not impossible to move AVT out to right tackle. I'm not saying I would do it, but I wouldn't be shocked if that's what it actually came to, because the Jets have made some moves with this offensive line that none of us saw come. I mean, I remember when AVT would line up in these different positions and no one knew it was happening until the game actually started.
Well, because he was practicing after the practices.
Right.
When the media was sent away,
Right.
right?
So yeah, so that's all part of it. It's going to be very interesting to see where they go. But man, we've gone 2 hours, so I think we're going to go ahead and wind this down for the night. I want to thank everybody for joining us. This was a whole lot of fun. And Jeremy, if you're watching, continue to get better. We want to thank Nick Shine. It was good to see him. Tigo, I thank you as well. And we thank every single one of you in the chat for joining us tonight. And hey, we'll be on with Green Bean. Jeremy and I will be in the background. I'll be bringing some trivia. It'll be Green Bean. It'll be Gunny. Don't know who the guest is, but I'm sure there'll be some Liquid IV and some Manscaped ads involved. So
it's me. No, I'm kidding.
All right, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We salute you, and go Jets. See ya.
Good night, guys.